The views and opinions expressed in Media Litter Sandwich do not reflect on the views of the network, station, studio, website, sponsors, guests, hosts themselves, anyone or anything else associated or even not associated with this podcast. Maybe not even the person that said them. In other words, do your own research and do not sue anyone over what is said on this show.
Welcome to Media Litter Sandwich. Today, I am in the basement, means I have a video conference call because I'm not in the studio. And please excuse my raspy voice. I just came back from InfoComm yesterday, so I got a little bit of con crud on me. And our guest, I heard that you just came back from a little mini book tour and might be dealing some of the same things yourself.
Yep, just got back from Iowa. Had never been to Iowa before, so it was interesting. A lot of farms. And then also we found this casino in the middle of all the farms.
That doesn't sound like an official casino. That sounds like, oh, here's our pole barn.
Real and official, and
okay.
It was pretty nice. So yeah, it was a surprise. But
well, please introduce yourself.
Oh yeah, there we go. Who am I? Brenda Cortez, and I am a living kidney donor and a children's book author.
So, I looked at your websites and I'm looking at them. You talk about a very, what some may consider a sensitive topic in your kids' books. Go ahead and tell us about that.
Yep, it is definitely a sensitive topic. Organ donation. So I'm a living kidney donor, as I said. So that's what actually got me writing about organ donation to help other kids. So I donated a while ago.
Other kids? You consider yourself a kid still? I do. I'm a Toys R Us kid. I ain't never growing up.
My kids, who are actually grown up now, but 14 years ago when I donated, they were in 2nd and 5th grade. So there weren't any resources for them to explain what was mom going to do, and donating one of her organs away to another mom. So that's how I started writing. Actually, what inspired it all was my daughter wrote her essay. So we're fast forwarding then 6 years. She wrote her essay to get into college, and she wrote about the kidney donation. It was scary for her as a child. But on the other hand, I did inspire her to want to be a better person and help others. So that was kind of the inspiration for me looking back then, and said, wow, yeah, there weren't any resources at that time. And I looked and there really weren't any yet. So I'm like, maybe I should be that one to write something and help kids. So that's how it all started. And that was my first book, came out 4 years ago. And that one is titled My Mom is Having Surgery, A Kidney Story. So it's told from my daughter's perspective, a 5th grader at the time, of, her being scared, asking questions, and explaining just, some basic things about surgery and of course the kidney donation and then the recovery. So that was how it started.
How thick is the book? Is it a lot of writing? It seems like it would have to be detailed to kind of go into that.
There's some details. There's 11 pages of writing. So there's probably about 1,000 words.
Okay. A video version is different than the audio version. Okay. So the first page you just randomly open up to, it's not bad. It's 2 paragraphs.
Yeah.
With obviously kid-friendly size font.
Yeah. This one's a little bit smaller than some of the other books. The cool thing is I had sent in some real pictures for the illustrator to use and kind of go off of. And so that's how we ended up looking that way. I had a froggy robe on in the picture. So some people think
I always appreciate all things Froggy and Toad. And you can always check out my other videos at Toaden.com.
There you go. Awesome. So that book it's being used by Freighter Transplant Center and a couple others. Freighter in Milwaukee is where our transplant liver whatever kidney donation took place. So I'm kind of honored that they're utilizing that as a tool to help other families. And online, it has its purpose, so it's not necessarily your feel good.
You mentioned the hospitals using it as a tool.
Yep.
Does that mean they purchased several copies, or it's in like the
Yes.
gift store? Oh, they purchased them.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So yeah.
Have other hospitals purchased the book, and how do you break into that market?
It's not easy. It's crazy that every hospital works differently, and some have a budget. Some say, "Oh, we have to do fundraising," and just because it was the hospital that I donated at, it was a little bit easier, for me to go there. And then there's been some other ones where I just would ask to meet with them or, talk to them over the phone.
Right.
But definitely would love to have it in a lot more hospitals.
Yeah, I'm thinking like the only way would be donating a handful of samples to several hospitals and see who, like, hey, we need more of these. Let's buy more.
Right. Yep. So yeah, definitely something that I need to continue to work on, getting it out there, awareness. The other probably big thing would be there's some Facebook groups they're closed groups for like living donors, and I know it's been referred to a lot of people that way.
Okay. I just want to ask before I get too far ahead. Who's the illustrator?
So that first book, I didn't know who he was. I was working with this publishing company. They didn't, tell me like who the illustrator was. He ended up contacting me then like a year later and said, I'm the one that did the illustrations for your book. If you're, looking at doing any more in the future, let me know. He wasn't.
Was he credited in the book?
I think he is like in a really small area in that first one. But then, I decided to go ahead and use him going forward with all the other books. And it's interesting because he's actually out of the Philippines. So we communicate through Facebook and, messaging and email, but he's just really been great at bringing the stories to life. So that's why I've continued to use him. He's just a super sweet, sensitive guy. He has a little girl, and he totally understands what I'm doing.
Okay. Dendo. I'm gonna mess up his name.
Contendo. Yep.
I used to play that all the time as a kid. Wait, no, that's not Nintendo. Okay. So I just want to make sure you got some credit there.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate that. And I'm sure he does too. So after that book, then people were saying, "Oh, that would be a great book for, children's hospitals." And then I disagreed with them. Actually, I was like, "No, it's really meant for like, the regular hospitals where adults are, and if they have kids or grandkids." So I was like, well, I guess I got to write another book then to actually help those kids. So that's how the second book came about then. But first I wanted to have a cute character.
You didn't think that book was good for kids hospitals. You just wanted to write normal hospitals? Like, I'm trying to understand what the difference if it was written for elementary school age. Why wouldn't you want it in kids hospitals?
Because in the story, it's not the kid that's having surgery. It's the mom. So then, I mean, and maybe it could help a little bit, but I was like, they probably need one of their own for them going through it. Mm-hmm. So that's why I wanted to have one that it would truly be about them having surgery versus someone else.
You thought it'd be more relatable.
Exactly. Yeah. Yep. So then, and I wanted the cute character. So I came up with a saying first. The saying is help others with love. And I was like, hey, that spells out HOWL as an acronym, and it rhymes with owl. So he became Howl the Owl. And so he actually became the plush guy first.
Video version different than the audio version. It's a cute little plushie.
Yeah. So then I had a picture of him once I, established what he was going to look like. And then I was able to send that to the illustrator to, make sure that he looked that way in the stories then as well. So the first Howl the Owl book then is Howl Gets a Heart. So I chose that he was getting a heart transplant. Wrote about kidneys, so wanted to do something just a little bit different. So Howl Gets a Heart. So here's that one. So all the books are the same size for the most part. They either have like 10 or 11 pages of, text and then the pictures. So.
And these no, these aren't self-published. You went through a publisher.
Well, I went through a publisher on the first one, and then I went through a different local publisher on the next one, because the first publisher, they pretty much went out of business. The owners went to jail for embezzlement. So yeah, needed
not a happy, yeah.
But what was really cool with the next publisher that I worked with, and the guy there was a few people, but the main guy, he's actually a kidney recipient from a living donor. So how cool was that?
Yeah.
Like, we connected then. So he completely got, what I was doing. And so that was pretty neat. So kind of going forward then, I really ended up doing more like half self-publishing and half, traditional, almost called a hybrid.
Okay.
So,
how do you feel what's the difference? I've gotten different answers on this. So I'm curious on what your take. What's the difference between going through a publisher and doing it yourself?
Well, when I had kind of, the person that owned that publishing company for the Howl Gets a Heart book, her and I didn't get along. So we kind of, ended our agreement. And that's not the same guy that I was referencing with the
You mostly
kidney.
went through small independent publishing then.
Yeah.
Okay.
So after that, then I was like, oh, I'm just going to, do this on my own. And then it was harder. So I was selling on Amazon, but I was too small to have it like be print on demand and free shipping. And the ebook thing, it was just a lot of work. So especially, like, it's different if it's just an adult book and there's no illustrations.
Right.
I think it would be a lot easier to do the self-publishing route. But so I reconnected then with Mike, is the one that he actually bought the company from this lady. So, and he and I, like I said, had a lot in common, and he was really great. So I said, I want to circle back with you and have you help me going forward. And I had already bought like my ISBN numbers. So, I do, my own illustrations, where there's a difference where if you're just coming in and like you're going to get a package deal. And
those numbers, how expensive are those numbers?
It really depends on how big your book is. I would probably say like on a range of, for like a children's book like mine, maybe it would be like 1,500, 2,000. And then it can go up to, at least a few grand if you're doing, an adult book with a lot of pages and text.
I've heard different numbers. That's why I was curious.
Yeah.
I've heard numbers, 10. I could be 100% wrong, so don't quote me on this. I had somebody on the show that told me the numbers are always inflated when you go through a publisher on the IDS on those numbers. He said when he went through the Amazon self-publishing, he always got them way cheaper. Of course, he also he did do illustrations in his books as well, actually.
Okay.
But not, because it was a 230-page book, and I don't remember how many illustrations. So, but anything can change. Everything changes. We never know.
Yeah, different with who you're working with.
I always say research. I mean, he was a person I'm thinking of, really strong believer in self-publishing, and will hire his own editor, and became a freelance editor after doing it because he could do it. And then I've talked to others that are just let someone else, I will raise all the money I need. Let me get a publisher that knows what they're doing, at least for the first book. So everyone's different for sure.
And you learn a lot too. I mean, I just learned so much going through each, with each book. So I feel like I'm getting better and better with each one and know what I'm doing more and more.
So you're going on tours. Tell me about that. Tell me about the public school tours.
So, and those have just been local.
Mm-hmm.
One of the first ones that had me come in, a lot of times you seem to have to know somebody, at least when you're first getting established. And so this particular school it's an urban school. It's in a suburb of Milwaukee, but it's pretty urban. They have, so instead of a STEM day, they have STEAM day. So science, technology, engineering, they add art for the A, and then math. So I was asked to come and be the science for their 5th grade class. And so it was pretty neat. And there was 5 5th grade classes. So I literally did my presentation of 45 minutes, like 5 times in a row. And I started by reading my first book that my mom is having surgery. So they would have an idea of well, why am I going to talk about organ donation? Here's my connection. And so that book is, the 5th grade would probably be like the top level for that book. But I've also had adults say that, if they've gotten it for their kids, they've learned things as well. So with that one, I go in to teach those kids, focus more on the science part of it and what organs can be donated. Like, what is organ donation?
Mm-hmm.
What organs can be donated? Tissue and cornea and, bone and tendons and different things in addition to the vital organs.
Did
How
the
brief
kids
and need.
do the kids have to get permission slips signed or anything like that? Because I know for some families, especially depending on the religion, that's a very sensitive topic. There's some religions that are totally against organ donations.
Majority, I think, are all on board with it from what I know, but I don't think that they had to get any permission, anything signed from their parents that I was aware of. So no,
okay.
Just part of the curriculum, and I honestly hope that it is. That's part of my mission too. Is let's get this in the curriculum with the grade school kids. Let's not wait until they're in high school, if it's even talked about. More so, it might just be talked about a little bit when like teenagers are going to go get their driver's license and they have to make that decision. So yeah, but these kids are super intrigued by it. Some of the things are like, ew, like if I show a picture of like just the torso of the recipient and it's not real. It's it's just a drawing where the kidney is coming out of and then going into the recipient. So donor and recipient. And one group, they made me a bunch of like thank you cards afterwards. So like a month later, I get all these cards, and it was so cool. And the one that always sticks out into my head was this kid. He wrote, "Thanks for showing us all the guts and stuff." So like they thought that I was showing them guts, but people like these kids were like, "I want to be an organ donor," and I just talk about like getting them excited, like, "Hey, in a few years you're gonna go to get your driver's license. So I hope you remember what you learned here." And they're like, "Ooh, think about getting older, driving." And I use a visual. So mine's a PowerPoint, my presentation. And for us, I use Miller Park. So the Brewers Stadium for baseball. And so I have like an aerial view, and there's approximately 42,000 seats for that stadium. And so I'm like, "Hey, who's been to, the Brewers Stadium?" And, majority of the kids have. And I'm like, "That's a really big place, right?" And then I said, "So to give you an idea of, how many people are waiting for a life-saving organ, so a transplant, it's basically almost like 3 full Brewer stadiums. And then kidneys, the greatest need. So it's pretty much 2 full, someone in every seat, 2 full stadiums. So otherwise, that's a super big number. It's like 115,000, and then like 95,000 of that 115 are needing the kidney. So I think it makes an impact with them, definitely. And that school's had me back 4 years in a row.
Very cool.
They must like it. Yeah. And then some other schools have me come. I've done a couple middle school presentations where I just, reference my books and then, kind of do the same sort of presentation. And then there's other ones where it's, kindergarten, up through like 4th grade or so. And depending on what the school wants me to talk about, sometimes there was one school where they had some deaths. I don't think any of the children had passed away, but like maybe mom or a dad or grandma, grandpa. And they felt that it was very sensitive and wanted me to, not really focus on that much at all. And then focus more on the message of HOWL, help others with love, kindness, which is one of my books is HOWL Helps Others. And that one is it really just briefly touches on organ donation a little bit and then really talks more about the kindness and helping others. And there's a bully and he learns his lesson at the end. And
Now, before you started sending this book around, did you get, now I don't know what your background is, but did you get anyone's opinions that's maybe in child education or health education, or did anyone look at from that point of view before you started distribution?
Yeah, I had with the very first book, like a lot of family and friends that reviewed it. And then actually when I parted ways, or when that original to jail and the company went under, then
can you say that again? I lost you for a second.
Oh, sorry. With the first book, when that publishing company, when the owners, they went to jail, that company folded. So then, because before that, I owned my story. I didn't own my illustrations. So then I was able to, for a low price, buy and own the whole story and the illustrations. So then I took that opportunity to actually revise the book a little bit. And, now that I had read it a bunch of times and gotten more feedback on it, I did make a few changes to that one. And then like the HOWL Gets a Heart one, I ran it by, some people. But yeah, I always want multiple people to give me their opinion, have it edited few more, however many times. The third book, HOWL Helps Bella. That one's the most sensitive topic. Bella's daddy passes away and he's an organ donor. What does that mean? So it's based on a real story of a family that I met at the transplant games. And transplant games are kind of like their Olympics that happen every 2 years. So it's, a smaller scale of the Olympics, and it's a different city each time. So I met them in Cleveland in 2016. And then 2 months after, Bella's daddy passed away. So there's my story. So that would be my most sensitive one. But again, just having people like review it and stuff. I worked closely with Bella's mom on the story, wanted to make sure that it was everything that she wanted it to be and what, happened, although it's not exactly how it went.
Now you said you have had people review it, but what do you mean by that? Have you had gee, I wonder what a grief counselor would say about this, or I wonder what a guidance counselor would say about this?
Yeah. And it, not too much, not really before going to print with it. It was afterwards on that one. But on the next book, this one that came out earlier this year, HOWL learns about kidneys and dialysis. So I ended up connecting with a dialysis nurse, and I asked him if he would read the story and, tell me like what maybe I don't have accurate, what I need to change. And so exactly what you're saying, that's what I ended up doing with that one. And then I'm going to do a different version of the HOWL Gets a Heart book where he gets a liver. And that was actually at the request of Phoenix Children.
Poor HOWL. Has all his organs changed in and out.
He's running on spare parts.
Oh,
So I did have, so I revised that story. Now I'm just like waiting on some revised illustrations. But I did work with the local transplant group here, a social worker at Freighter. And then she also reached out to the group at the Children's Hospital here. And so I had to definitely make some changes to make sure it was accurate. So I didn't do as much of it, with the first couple of books, but now I'm kind of learning that,
okay.
hey, if I can have somebody, the expert, like review it, that's what I'm doing.
Okay. And if you don't mind me asking, what's your background? Like, do you have a day job? You don't have to tell me companies or anything like that, just a broad field.
Yeah. So my background and day job is sales and marketing, which that's a huge part of promoting a book. So there's a lot of elements to getting a book out, and I think marketing is really huge, because great, you got a book, but now who's going to know about it? I mean, I think that's the hardest aspect of it. So for now, I work 4 days a week. So I had the opportunity to at least go from 5 to 4 days to focus more on where I'm at. It's super flexible. I just had a couple days off to, do traveling. And at some point it's my mission to just, do school visits and work with hospitals, and have it be my main focus.
So you have mascots as well. You have us people that wear full costumes.
Yep, HOWL the owl is a mascot. I got him basically at the beginning of the year, so he's made a few appearances. We're working on more. I did a local TV show, and he got to meet another mascot for our hockey team here. So it was kind of cool that they were together, and some different like races, 5Ks. He's not raced in them, but just been a part of,
Right.
Being there.
It's a good attention getter.
Yeah. And just to really try to do the brand awareness for, who's Howl the Owl? Like, what does he stand for? So there's the mascot, and then back to the plush. The plush guy there's been a few of them in circulation traveling, and we call him Howl on the Prowl. And so families have been hosting him. I don't know if are you familiar with a flat Stanley at all?
No.
Okay, Flat Stanley was like a book character, and I don't even know how many years ago this was, but like, I don't know if he became it was like a big cardboard of him, and people would take him out and, do pictures. And so if people
like the traveling gnome or the traveling axe, where people take pictures of the thing all over the place.
Yep.
I have a friend that was doing that. Dave Herndon, he's been on the show, friend of the show. He did that with a Donatello Ninja Turtle for a very long time.
Oh.
And everywhere he went, he had him. And Donatello's met some very important people.
Oh, awesome. Well, that's cool. Yeah, I try to bring them out, and I feel like I forget sometimes. And then I have a lady who's helping me. She's another living kidney donor. She's in Indiana, and she's really been coordinating all of his travels. And then she takes him everywhere. I'm like, she's a better Howl mom than I am. But yeah, he's in one of them. He's in Australia now. He's been to Antarctica. He's in India right now.
Wow.
I think he went to Mexico just recently too. And then, a lot of the states around here as well. And yeah, he just goes out and about with the family and tell people, what his name stands for. And usually, also talk about the organ donation side of it as well. So yeah, if anybody wants to host Howl the Owl on the Prowl, yeah, I mean, it doesn't have to be, you don't have to be related to, being an organ donor or something. You can just take him out if you want to spread his message. So there's a separate Facebook page for that, and it's Howl the Owl on the Prowl. And then we have a regular Facebook page, Howl the Owl, and then also his Instagram, and then Twitter at Howl the Owl, the number 3. And then his webpage, howltheowl.com.
Does he tweet, or is it just talking about the books, or is it like, hey, I'm Howl the Owl? Does he tweet a character?
He doesn't. That's maybe a good idea. He doesn't tweet in like
I'm
first
just curious.
person, like yeah, but that would probably be cute that he would actually be the one like saying what he's doing.
Right.
And then I've debated too with the mascot, you know, should he talk or make any sounds like hoot hoot, and
It's better if he's just shy.
he's just quiet and doesn't say
He's just quiet. Let someone else talk for him. He's having enough trouble seeing as it is.
Oh.
It's daytime, and he likes. He's tired because he's only awake at night.
Yep. Very true. So the book tour in Iowa that I just did, that one was focused on my most recent book that came out like 2 months ago now. So it's Howl Goes to the Races. And so it's based on a real race car driver, a real NASCAR driver, Joey Gase. And so he's from Cedar Rapids, Iowa. So that's why I went there, and they're doing a race on tomorrow, Sunday, for Father's Day. So wanted the opportunity to meet everybody in his state and his hometown, and I know he's pretty well known there. And
he knows of this book. Did he approve it, or just like, very cool?
We worked together. He and I had connected through social media. I think it was LinkedIn. Just I like to connect with all people who are, somehow related to organ donation. And, I found out his story, which is his mom passed away when he was 18, and she had a brain aneurysm. So unfortunately, that's unfortunately, the perfect way to be an organ donor. Is basically like your brain dead. Everything else is still working good. It's just your brain isn't functioning anymore. So his parents were divorced. He had to make the decision if she was going to be an organ donor. And so he did. Didn't really know that, those were necessarily her wishes. Found out after the fact when he was able to look at her driver's license that she did have it on there that she wanted to be. So, but that's been his focus. He utilizes his race car, the Hood, to, team up with a lot of the different Donate Life groups in the states that he is racing. And then he has a cool event called Handprints of Hope. And I got to be a part of that yesterday. They did one with Iowa Donor Network. And you get to come and put your handprint on the hood of his car. So here, I'll show you. And you can write a message. So that was one in the past.
And the video version's different than the audio version again. So it has the name of the charity. It has a lot of kids' handprints.
Well, not just kids, it's adults. So I was able to, do mine and my mom and Plush Howl. Actually, he got to do one too with his footprints, whatever we want to call that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So, no, Joey definitely approved. It was just, I was going to be in Las Vegas at the same time that he was going to be there for the race last September. And I said, hey, can I come and meet you? And just a little bit before that, it's just the idea came to me, like, let's write a book. So we tie in organ donation just a little bit, that, Joey invites Howl and some other transplant kids in the area to the race that day for Organ Donation Awareness Day. Yeah. So hopefully we're planting a seed that's something that could happen in the future.
Wow. I understand this is kind of a sensitive topic, and there's got to be a lot of thought that goes into this, to talking with kids. Because if this was like talking to adults, I can only think of a sense of humor. Like I would have on the mascot, we'll have like, because apparently Howell had like 3 organ donations already. So he lift up this shirt, you just see stitches. Like maybe the stitches are almost like playing tic-tac-toe because the doctors got bored.
It's one thing
it's a little morbid. My idea is a little bit morbid.
I actually did think of like having like real stitches on
Oh
like,
no.
eye. And that was just for the heart one. So
Right. I don't know if kids would be like, "Oh my god," or like, "Wow, that's gross," or "I want stitches like that."
Yeah, it could go.
I'd almost be afraid like that. Like, oh, it doesn't matter if I get hurt because I could get an organ donation. I feel like that's a goal that I don't want the kids to walk away with.
Right.
And that's
right.
And hopefully no one has.
I don't think so.
Okay.
But right now, he has only had the heart transplant. The one about kidneys and dialysis, that's actually his grandpa Bob that needs the kidney and gets it. So
okay,
and tried to focus on something a little bit differently. And then this one, really, we're focusing on the dialysis part of it, but doing kind of modern day things where they're searching for a kidney. So real things that have been going on where they do social media posts, need a kidney. There's a banner on their car that they're searching for a kidney. There's been a lot of different ones. There's a lady that in Milwaukee area, she put up billboards that she needed one and, used a lot of social media and it worked. She got her kidney. So I would, if somebody is in desperate need of one, I would highly recommend doing everything you can. I know people have worn a t-shirt with it like on the back, so-and-so, or if they're the one in need of a kidney, like to a sporting event. So at our Brewers stadium, that just happened where someone saw the shirt and said, "Oh, I should get tested." And they were a match.
Marketing at its most desperate.
There, exactly. Yep. But the billboard thing, I mean, depending on if you're in a rural area or, an urban area, you have a better chance if it's, in a bigger city.
Wow, this is getting deep. I do want to remind people of a good way to donate to charity, since we are talking about helping others, is using smile.amazon. That's why I don't put out any affiliate links to Amazon no more. I ask people to use smile.amazon, and my charity of choice is the DV Farm. You can learn more about DV Farm by Googling that. I believe it's dvfarm.org. And of course, I'm on dvradio.net every Tuesday night at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where I will be in the chat room. I usually am in the chat room. Last week I was only in it at the date of recording. I was in Florida for a conference, so I was only in it for a few minutes, but I was definitely keeping an eye open. And of course, check out dvradio.net. They got brand new shows coming to there, so check out their schedule. It's a live streaming thing, and they're all about helping veterans. And they're hiring for more shows. So if anyone's a veteran or a caregiver and you have an idea for a show, go ahead and go check them out or just listen. It's really a lot of support. And if you just want to listen or watch this whenever, MediaLitterSandwich.com. And we're on pretty much every podcast app. There's a couple I know we're not on, but if you want us on there, let me know and I'll try again. Go ahead, Brenda. Go ahead and promote your book again and where to find them.
Excuse me. So you can find them at howltheowl.com. And so my page is actually, it's part of Donate Life America's page, which is pretty cool. So I give some proceeds back to them. And then depending on which book, there might be some others that get proceeds as well. So if you go to, the easiest is the howltheowl.com. Otherwise, the Donate Life address is donatelife.net/books. But I feel like the howltheowl.com is easier to remember. So
Donate Life America is on smile.amazon as well.
Yes. And I actually just got my email update from Amazon earlier this week that told me how much they've donated to Donate Life America so far. So that was pretty cool. I don't know if you get updates like that too.
I do, and I think it's really cool that if I'm like, oh, today I'm going to donate to this thing, I could change it out all the time.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah. Yeah. So that's pretty cool. I'm glad that you brought that up, because I think a lot of people might forget about doing the Amazon Smile and supporting their charity or charities that they believe in. So,
and doesn't cost anything extra.
right. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, howltheowl.com and then Amazon. Those are pretty much the two big places that you can get the books. The ones ordered off of the website, Howl the Owl, are the ones that I actually ship out. So a lot of times I'll throw in a bookmark, a Howl the Owl bookmark with it. And usually I'll end up signing the book as well. And if somebody wanted it signed to someone in particular, they can definitely just shoot me a message and say, I ordered this one, and if you could, sign it to Lucy or something. But it's been neat to see where all of the books are going to, or which one they're ordering and where they're coming from. And so I liked that I shipped those books out.
All right, at this time, I'm going to go ahead and transition over to the Toaden Read section of this. So I would like to kind of be close to the subject. So I pulled up a couple of the books that are on Amazon. I noticed that there's not like every book on Amazon, or at least not easily able to find. A couple of them popped up, and you don't have too many reviews. So this will go pretty quick. And I'm sure I didn't really look through them, but looking at the ratings that you have, I highly doubt we're going to have any negative reviews here. Again, video version is different than the audio version, because I'm actually, since we're video conferencing, I do have my screen up, and you're able to read the screen. Okay.
Yep.
Let me go ahead and pull up the full. Okay, so you want to go ahead and read this review from BM. Went ahead and highlighted it.
Okay, yeah, it's really hard for me to see. It's kind of small. I probably could use some reading glasses about now.
I could read it if you're having issues.
Wow, I'm like, it's small.
Oh, does that help?
There we go. That helps. Okay. So this person said, this is the perfect book to help explain my situation to my 6 and 8-year-olds. I am also donating a kidney to a stranger, and they are very concerned. Thank you for writing a book for kids to help ease their minds.
Do you get a lot of comments like that?
I do get some people. I've had a few, that have reached out to me directly. They've messaged me through Facebook. If we're not connected, all of a sudden I'll look. I'm like, oh, I have a message from someone I don't know, and just letting me know that, like one that she donated at the end of the year, and then she reached out to me probably like January or February and said, I just need to let you know that I got my mom is having surgery book, and I forget how old that child was, maybe 5. It's interesting of all the different ages for the kids, but she said it was, they read it like probably more than 50 times. And the kid was struggling prior to it, but something just really resonated with him. And actually she might've done a review, because I looking at the word resonated. I think this is that one. So I didn't realize that she put one out on Amazon. So, but yeah, she also took the time to let me know personally that it really, helped them.
Okay.
So, do you want me to read this one?
Yeah, go for it. You just did a good intro for it.
All right. So this is from Christy. I bought this book for my 4-year-old while going through the living donor process. He was having a really hard time understanding everything, and it was hard for me to explain things in a small child way when I was also learning so much. The book really resonated with him. I donated December 28th of 18, and he was my biggest cheerleader. I cannot recommend it enough. Oh. So yeah, that's the one that's been recommended a lot in the Living Kidney Donor group, and there's a couple other.
Yeah, and those 2 reviews are both from My Mom Is Having Surgery. The book those are from.
Yep. So something for me to look at if you're having a hard time finding all of the books on Amazon. I should really look into that.
Yeah. It could also have been me just half effort searching. But yeah, $10 a book. It's not too bad for a kid's book that apparently helps people. There seems to be a lot of parents writing that are going through similar situations. I thought there was a review on this one too. Hopefully I could edit this for the video so people don't see what my recent purchases were. It's like, okay, there's kidney book, that's a knife, that's a hatchet. I don't know what kind of AV gear that is.
That's funny.
Why are there chopsticks next to tactical sporks? What's a tactical spork?
So were you searching by my name or by book titles?
I think I was searching by your name.
Okay.
But I could find them all here, and the customers who used the site I'm also viewed. So I can see that they are pretty much linked together through that.
Okay. Here, I'm just on my phone also looking up to see how easy or hard it is.
Yeah. And just a couple quick reviews. We have amazing book, the first one. I got the first one as well as autographed. My nephew loves them. Another one says excellent children's book. Another great book in the series of children's books about organ donation, cute characters, and well illustrated. So that's a nice compliment to the illustrator.
Yeah.
And these are really cute, bright, and colorful. I do like the Howl gets a heart, how the eyes, the heart, and Howl are looking at each other. These are very well.
Thanks.
And apparently there are other books on illustrations or on organ donations. I see another one just popped up. And that one looks a little more scarier than yours. I'm seeing like superheroes, and I'm seeing organs like jumping around, and
yeah, I never heard of that one. Huh?
Another superhero one. Brenda has a gift of telling a story and bringing understanding, hope, and strength to our children. Well done, Brenda. Oh, that's really nice.
Thanks.
And here's another one, just gives props to the entire series. Not sure what else I can read here unless I want to make fun of the superhero one again. That's not yours.
I think there's some reviews that were also shared on my webpage, the howltheowl.com one.
Mm-hmm.
So, and some like from the transplant center. So yeah, I have worked with a few different children's hospitals as well. It definitely helps if I'm able to meet with them. I was able to meet with Riley Children's in Indy, and they ended up buying a lot of the Howl Gets a Heart book. I was able to meet with Nevada Donor Network. So they're the organ procurement group for the state of Nevada. And they do an annual donor remembrance ceremony. So they bought a bunch of the Howl Helps Bella book and then had me come out and be a part of that and sign the books and give them out to the families with kids that came. They're doing something pretty cool. They have a donor mom that's starting a mobile library out there. And so they want to support her with her, adventure and get books about organ donation in this mobile library. So they're going to be buying a bunch of, variety of my books to put in there, as well as the plush guy. And I will say that if anyone is interested in the plush Howl, he's been out of inventory for a while, and I'm hoping that I'll have him back, and I'll have a bunch of them. So he'll be available hopefully in like a month or two. But it's just been a big learning process for me because where I was getting him through discontinued him. So I kind of had to start from square one because he has a specific look.
Right. And is a trademarkable look, I assume. I don't know if you trademarked them, but
yep, he is in the process. So yep, you copyright the books and then trademark the saying, Howl the owl, help others with love, and then also his image. Mm-hmm. So yes, all a big learning process as well. So
Yeah. So how do you approach the hospitals and do they do you have a press kit that you email to them or mail out or?
a lot of it has been email, and I did have some warm introductions from a group called CODA, Children's Organ Transplant Association. So they get some proceeds from the Heart Book. And so they have connections with, the different children's hospitals. And so I was able to do that. But otherwise, if you don't really have that direct connection, it's kind of hard, but it's been on my list to actually send out, a book, like let's send out, to a transplant center, my mom is having surgery or the new kidneys dialysis one. Kind of just, that would be the marketing tool. So something I need to work on, but I wish it could be my full-time job right now, but right now it's not paying the bills.
See, now I just want to do like a parody one of a similar mascot, but his parents or like his father or uncle's a vet and he's got to go to the VA hospital and he's like, oh, that guy's got an amputated leg. It's like, and just cussing everywhere he looks. He's like, oh, it's like he lost his leg. Oh, he knows where it is. It's just not in country. But don't worry, he'll take this one off and beat you with it if you get out of line.
Interesting.
I don't know if that would work for a kids thing, but it'll go very well in the VA.
That would honestly, that could be if we don't go that route, but it could be a future HOWL book. There's so many things that we could write about, these difficult, topics, situations, an amputee wheelchair, and then there's always okay, do we want to have it be where it's HOWL himself, or do we want to have it be where it's, HOWL's, somebody he knows, cancer, same thing. So there's so many different books that I could write to help kids understand these.
HOWL's on caffeine pills because all his books take place during the day. Sorry, I'm just...
He drinks a lot of Monster energy drinks.
No wonder he needed a new heart, man. Too many energy drinks, that ain't good for you.
Actually, I guess that's not good for your kidneys.
No.
There was something posted that it takes I forget how many liters and liters of water to flush that out of your system, just one energy drink. So I was like, wow, that's really scary.
Well, thank you for coming on. Really appreciate it.
Well, thanks so much for having me and letting me talk about the organ donation, subject that not everybody wants to talk about, especially, for kids. But hopefully more and more schools will want to have me come and we'll talk about it because kids are definitely intrigued.
And public libraries as well. I see a lot of libraries have events and, still.
Yep. Yeah, we were at one in Iowa on Thursday. That's where Mascot HOWL made his appearance. But yeah, I've been lucky that there's been people that want the book series in their local library, so they've purchased it and donated it to the library. So that's been helpful too.
What's the best website to send people to?
HOWLtheowl.com. Yep, they can check out each book there, order it, get a little background on my story and, a little bio on each book as well.
Well, thank you again for coming on. And of course, I'm Toaden on Toaden.com, MediaLitterSandwich.com. You can find my Twitters and Facebooks, mostly Toaden or Toaden K. And Media Litter Sandwich is on DV Radio every Tuesday, which is also on TuneIn app, or you can just listen to the podcast on TuneIn or Stitcher or Podbean or Podknife or iTunes, if that's still a thing, or whatever they're using now, or the Google thing, or pretty much everywhere where you can find a podcast, or on YouTube. You can watch the video version. or just go to the websites, or Podbean also has a video version as well. I tried to include the video link in the podcast. Sometimes it doesn't always go through, but I definitely try to do that. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed our discussion, and may the algorithms be in your favor.